In 2014, I had the opportunity to join educators from around the world in Huntsville, Alabama, to take part in International Space Camp. As I thought about the unbroken history of space exploration from ancient times to today, I began to think of how I could help my students feel the same sense of awe and wonder that I felt. While on family vacation at Universal Studios, Hollywood Studios, and the Kennedy Space Center in Florida in 2022, I was inspired again not only by the continual advancements in space exploration, but also by the immersive technology of contemporary thrill rides. There just had to be a way to help students enter more deeply into the grand story of human scientific discovery. I remembered my first undergraduate Latin class 35 years ago with Professor Betty Rose Nagel at Indiana University. Among the things we read in that class was the Somnium Scipionis, or Dream of Scipio, written by Cicero in the 1st century BC. It described a view from space of the planets and stars, and I wanted my students to read selections from that, but there had to be more. I put together an introductory video that gave a quick overview of the writings of 4 ancient authors on space: Plato, Aristotle, Cicero, and Lucian of Samosata. The video included part of a documentary on the Antikythera mechanism, one of the most astounding archaeological finds of all time, an ancient machine capable of calculating the movements of planets. Connecting all this with the James Webb Space Telescope and the most recent work by NASA and private companies like SpaceX, this video set the stage for what would become a full unit of study in our Latin 2 classes. The next step was to pull together texts for students to read. Cicero wrote in Latin, but Plato, Aristotle, and Lucian wrote in Greek. Fortunately, there have been Latin translations of those authors over the centuries. After selecting key writings of those authors and putting them together with the vocabulary the students would need, I was ready to, pardon the pun, launch the unit. For 3 weeks, our Latin students translated these ancient works, explored the ideas of the writers more deeply through videos, and discussed their reactions to seeing firsthand how far back our thinking and imagination about space really go. The unit ended with a Zoom talk with physicist and astrophotographer Dr. Neil Jenkins. The students then had their choice of a project, either to explore the connections between the ancient and modern worlds in a different area of science, or to write their own science fiction, originating in the ancient world in imitation of Lucian of Samosata.
My favorite part about this unit so far has been, at the end, has been the interview with Mr. Jenkins, and just seeing how his faith connected with the study of science and like the solar system and all that cool stuff. It fascinates me that like he could, like how he implemented it with how he acted with his peers, and it's just so cool.
Well, what I like best is that I like doing land, but I also had a particular love for astronomy since I was like in, I don't know, 10. So I felt like it was like my two of my favorite subjects put together into one lesson. I actually had a lot of fun with the topics, translating the stories, especially when I got to write my own story.
I think definitely was the reading the stories that we got to translate. I'm not a big fan of translation, but like I still thought it was a lot of fun, especially when it's like I get to use my imagination to imagine what's really going on and stuff like that, especially with the project I got to do with it.
The subject matter that I probably enjoyed most of the unit was the video content. I really liked, you showed us some pretty good condensed information that had a lot to say about ancient Rome, and that's not something I usually seek out on my own, so I enjoyed watching it. And the other thing is I really enjoyed speaking with your friend Doctor something or another. And I really enjoyed listening to him speak as well. Something I was surprised to learn is that there was more like, I guess, complex literature outside of philosophy, because of course you show us quotes and things that clearly show that they had a lot going for them in literature, but I guess I didn't really think, I guess I had like a notion in the back of my mind that being from ancient Rome kind of precluded you from like writing fiction, but that's not the case.
How creative the Romans were when they were coming up with this stuff, like the hippogriffy. I was trying to explain it to my brother, but he kind of thought it was weird.
That the Greeks had that like thing, I don't remember what it's called, but the machine they found at the bottom of the ocean in a shipwreck that like told where the stars were and stuff. And I think it's like pretty advanced, and that the Greeks should be given a lot more credit for that than the Romans did.
How they just took everyday knowledge and just how they were so dedicated to observations that they could find out how things moved and how the planets moved, how the stars aligned and stuff. And just it's incredible how much the human eye can accomplish.
I think it's kind of interesting because they didn't have the same technology that we do, but they were still able to make these assumptions and predictions that were some of the time correct.
I think it's not that hard to believe. I feel like they're a lot smarter than, again, they're given credit for, because they had a lot of stuff that we have now. Like, we've built everything off of the Roman civilization, and I don't know, I think that they're smarter than we all think.
It's almost actually incredible. It's almost makes me think that you think it would be impossible, but then since they did it, it makes you wonder what else is possible in today's world. So knowing that they did something, they hypothesized how something so vast and so big like our universe, and just let alone just our galaxy, it's incredible just to think about.
I think that it was probably the will of God that they had even the people of that time think about and ask questions. Even when they didn't have any telescopes or stuff, they still had that gift of understanding and questioning of certain things, and it led them to make several discoveries. I mean, even so, the inaccurate discoveries like the rotation of the planets, it was still like a really cool with the 3 rings. Even though it was false, it was still really it really still shocked me how he could even come up with that. He must have literally been looking at that sky for like years and years to finally figure that out.
To me, that's really cool because kind of like the video that you showed us of the guy who found the circumference of the Earth just by like shadows and stuff. Like with barely any equipment, they can do such cool things. It's like kind of like gives us hope for the future. Like we can do anything really.